Hey gamers, today we're looking at Foundations of Rome. Let's check it out. This is a big game without much setup. You're going to take out your tray, which is already ready to go with all your pieces in it. You're going to give out 5 coins to the first player and then 1 coin extra for each player after that. You're going to shuffle this deck into 3 separate decks, shuffle them, deal out 6 cards to everyone first, and they're going to take their little icons here and place them on the little lands that they got. So I got all 3, so I put reds out there. Then you're going to shuffle the 3, divide them into 3 remaining decks, and then deal out across the row here from error 1. You're also going to have your population and victory point tracker over to the side. And these are some expansions I'll talk about later. Everyone's going to get one of these little turn guides and icon guides. You really don't need this, but they gave you one anyway. Also, first player will get this nice little brass-looking, copper-looking first player token, and then you are ready to play the game. How it works is very simple. On your turn, you have 3 actions you can do. You can build a building, and all you have to do is make sure it covers the spots that you already have. So I couldn't put this twofer like that. If I owned both of these lands, I could place it over that one. Or for right now, I could just place a 1 on my board and place it over anything. It doesn't cost you anything. You just need to have the people there. You can also upgrade your building. So let's say at one time I took this off the board and I was there. If I wanted later on, let's say I got, maybe these 3 spots here, I could upgrade that with a 3 by just taking 1. This is a 3 space, removing these from the board, and then pushing this back on and taking these 2 markers up. You can always upgrade as long as it's bigger than the one you put before. And what if that one was a 3-corner, but I owned all of these? Well, I just put some markers out. Maybe I had I can't think of a good example here, but you could always, maybe it started as a corner and I had an extra one here, and instead I wanted to put this one here, so I remove it and then place this one here. Well, that was a 3 too, so it had to be a 4 or something. But anyway, you get the point. You can only place one with something bigger than what you have. Now, on your player board and on these tokens that you have to put on yourself, so make sure you get it right because these are kind of hard to put on and it's hard to take off if you get it wrong. It'll also tell you at the bottom what these do, but you'll have your little markers here at the top here as well. So that's placing a building. Of course, you can buy any of these. You have to pay the coin associated. Once you do, everything can shift down, and then you draw another card. And then I would also actually place a marker by E7 like that. So maybe if I had this, that'd actually be a good one, or even that would be actually a good one. So then no one can steal these from you in the base game. You'll just keep this with you. Now, of course, you can run out of land markers, so I could get one more, but that'd be it. After that, I cannot claim any more land. I'd have to start building at that point. So building, getting land, and of course, getting money. Everyone can at any time grab 5 coins for one of their turns. They can get money. However, if they placed out any of these little olive ones out here, and as you can see here, to say, hey, that's 3 more money on top of my 5. It even says that on the board. So if I were to have this one out, I'd get 5, 6, 7, 8. I get 8 coin on that turn. And of course, the olive ones have to deal with money. The beige ones have to do with population. When you put these out, you move up on your population tracker here. And so you just mark wherever you're at, and other players can mark there. That will turn into victory points later on at the end of a round. And then finally, you have these, what they're called, I believe, civic buildings. And these give you points determined on where they are next to other players. For instance, this is 1 victory point for each building this is next to. This is 1 victory point for every 2 population. Or 1 victory point for every population that you're next to, population building, and so on and so forth. 1 point. These are civic buildings here. That's money. The rules are very self-explanatory. In fact, you can look at the guidebook to see what each one means, but after playing it once, you'll get it. So those are the type of buildings you can put out. Again, you're getting money. You're building buildings or upgrading buildings with something bigger, or you're buying cards. Now, the round ends when this deck is gone, and all these cards, eventually they'll all be bought. And when the last one gets taken, whoever that was, that player who was next in line, they would get the first player token. But before they'd start the second round by dealing out error 2 cards, you're going to have to score. And on each of these, it tells you how to score, even at the end of the game, how to score. It is so, so simple. So what you're going to do first, you're going to take your commercial buildings. You're going to gain all the money that was equal to those buildings. So for instance, if I had, maybe these 2 buildings out, that would, and you can even tell on your board here, maybe I had these 2 buildings out, well, I get 3 coin. All right. You would also add up any victory points you'd have. So again, here I'd have 5 victory points unlocked. Now remember, you can lose coin and victory points as I'm upgrading buildings. Maybe later on I upgraded this one to something like over here. Well, now I'm not getting those extra coin anymore, and I'm not getting those victory points at the end of the round. It just depends on what's left out on the board, determines how much coin and victory points you'll get. So you'll score all the commercial buildings here, and then from there you'll go to your civic buildings. And these are your civic buildings here, these white ones here, and they say, hey, whatever we're next to, like this one scores 3 points for every other civic building it's next to. But it even tells you that on the board here. And so then you'll add up all your little civic buildings points, whatever they account for. Then you're going to look at residential buildings. Again, however much population has been tracked on here. And this is where the game gets interesting, because whoever's in the lead will get 4 bonus points. But they'll also get the bonus points of where they are on the population counter. So right here, I'm at 8. I would get 8 points plus 4. Now, guess what? The player behind me gets the same points as me. The player who is ahead of you, you will score their points for you, making you want to make this game a lot closer so you don't give the other player that many points. But in this case, even though he made 4, as long as he made 1, if he made 0, he wouldn't get it. But as long as he made 1, he would have caught up to me. Now, if there's 3, 4 players, they'd make as much as the person ahead of them too. But in this case, this person also got 8. Okay? And that's how we'd score that. And all I got was the extra bonus points. Now, of course, there could have been some bonus points on my board that I could have gotten, so I may be ahead. Either way, after that, the game goes again to era 2. After that, you score the same way. Your commercial buildings, getting your coin and your victory points from them. Then your civic buildings, getting whatever bonuses are from there. And then your residential again. And your residential could have increased by then, but also whoever's first will get 7 points on this one. And then finally on the third one, this is when this is gone, when all the cards in this deck are dealt out, the game's going to end. What you're going to do is you're going to gain victory points for however many coin and victory points you have here. So now I would get 5 victory points for this. And I would have gotten 1, 2, 3 victory points for that, because coin at the end from buildings will transfer into victory points. Coin in your hand does not. Coin on the board, that income you would get, transfers to victory points at the very end of the game. Then commercial buildings, you'll score those again. Same as always. Oh, I'm sorry, right here. Players gain VP equal to the number of lot markers they have. So if I had 3 of these little lot markers out there, I would gain 3 victory points. So any unclaimed land that just has, you didn't build anything on it, would give you a victory point at the end of the game. Then of course, you do civic buildings again. Then residential. You check up your residential. Whoever got number 1 got 10 victory points. And of course, whoever has the most victory points wins. Now that's the base game. There's a lot of modules that you're looking at here that come with the game, and I'm going to go over each one of them. They just add something little to them. These are monuments. These are huge buildings. They can give you huge population increases, or coin, or victory points, or whatever you want. And it's self-explanatory what they do on these very hard to put on tags, but you tag them all, and it is kind of hard also to figure out how this thing fits on. So take a picture. Take a picture every time before you play. Annoying, but you have to do it. Anyway, so you take the monuments. You take 3 of them out, plus the number of players. So in a 3-player game, we take out 6. Then you take those out, apply them to their area, and sometimes they'll tell you what requirements must be met. So you got to read those too. And at any time on one of your builds, you may build instead a wonder, and a wonder can place over yours, not other people's areas there. So you can replace buildings with wonders if you have met the requirements for these. Remember, you got to look at each requirement and read about them, because each one of them are different. There's a nice big stack of them. And that's how monuments work. And then, like I said, they can give you various points, coin, population during the game to help you win. Another expansion is player roles. You shuffle these, deal out 2 to each person. They look at both of them. They have little either starting bonuses or bonuses that go on throughout the game. They pick one, discard the other. You have public and private objectives. You put out as many public objectives as there are players in the game, and each objective is explained right down here. And whoever scores these objectives in the game will, of course, get 8 victory points. Also, for private objectives, you give 2 of these out to each player. They look at them both and then choose one and return one back to the deck. But that's objectives here. Then you got these, I can't remember what they're called, invocations or whatnot. And these just look like the backs of these. What you'll do is you'll take 3 and shuffle them into each one of these decks. And what they do, they're just special cards that give you like little cheats. Well, that's a thing there, but it gives you little cheats in the game. And they each come with sometimes victory points. Sometimes they're just straight victory points. But that's what these are, and they're very self-explanatory about what you can do with them. And that's another expansion module you can put in. Another module you can put in is trading or stealing. Trading is just trading land, plots of land with people, which we don't play with. But the stealing one's really cool. Everyone gets one of these 2 victory points. When you steal from someone, it has to be one of their empty lots, a lot they haven't built upon. And so on your turn, you go, hey, I want, D or E7. So you lose 2 victory points. So I would lose, if I wanted reds and I was yellow, I'd lose 2 victory points. And then this would go over to red, and red would flip it over. And as you see, they gained 4 victory points. So they would go 1, 2, 3, 4. And now they have the lead. But I gave up basically a spread of 6 points just so I could have a lot I really wanted. Maybe I could build off of it. You can only do that 2 times. After you've done that 2 times, you can't do it anymore. There's another expansion to this called Roads to Fortune. And what this does is it adds these tiles out on the board, and you'll just place them. They're both they're double-sided, and you'll place them out on each one of the edges there. So place one there, they place one there, so on and so forth. And so at the end of every scoring error, you're also going to see who has the most on the edges. And on a 5-player game, 4-player game, 3-player game, 2-player game, as you see through the letters here, the board gets smaller. And you can flip the board over for a smaller player count anyway. But you put these on the side. Whoever has the most on this edge would get this bonus. This edge would get one of these 3 bonuses, or those, whatever edge they're on. If you're on a corner, your building counts for both edges. So it just encourages people to build across the edges. And what you'll do is once you claim one, if it's like one of these up here at the top one, I can get 3 victory points, or ignore requirements on monuments for the next error. Oh, I'd love to do that. Or maybe just get 2 victory points. But anyway, you can claim these. First, second, third can claim those each round and get something. Now, what happens if you claim more? Because there's 3 rounds, you only get 2 of these markers. It says you would use one of these to score it. But once you score it, you can't get this little lot marker back. So you're 1 lot short. But anyway, it's just different ways to get cheats or victory points in the game. And of course, encourages people to build on the edges. Some of them say they come with population tokens. These are population tokens. You just get them and they add to your population track, which can be converted to victory points at the end of the game. And that is Foundations of Rome. Final thoughts. What do I think about the game? This game is huge. This game is huge. It's supposed to fit on a Kallax shelf, and look at that. It does. That's incredible. That's incredible. I've been saving this spot for that exact game there. That's incredible. They got to fit on a Kallax shelf. Good for them. I didn't think it could when I looked at it. Game is huge. This is a massive game, obviously. It's very easy to play, very simple. We included all the modules. When I started reading about the modules, at first I thought, well, maybe I'll just play the base game. But then I read the base game. I said, well, that was pretty easy. Let's go ahead and throw all the modules in. You can do that. It doesn't complicate the game. On the very first time, we all figured out how to play the game. It was very simple. And I think I'll always play with all the modules. We use them all. They were stealing every time we've played. I've gotten beat by the public objectives. It's my fault. I never look at the public objectives. Everyone else does. Good for them. And at the end of the game, it seems like I always get the small lead that is eaten away by those 8 victory points because I was 6 ahead or 5 ahead, or one time I was 7 ahead and lost by 1 because someone had 8 victory points and got me ahead. I was like, no. I love the invocation cards you put on there. They got some special plays. Some aren't as good as others, but they are nice. The player roles are great. Always play with them. I mean, honestly, the monuments, the wonders, I think the most anyone ever got was 2 at one time. You can grab more if you can meet the qualifications, but that takes a little while. But and doing those little the road to fortune, what a smart idea, because the edges, aren't really contested as much, but it makes the edges contested way more when you can get little cheats in the game or extra victory points in the game. So everything together is perfect. Even stealing, even though I never did it, I probably should have. Some people stole from me at times, which is fair. There is a solo way to play this game. And the one thing about it, that everyone asked, is the game overproduced? Well, duh, yeah. But that's the whole point, I think, to be honest. I mean, the guy wanted to make a game that looked really nice, looked really stunning, and was fun to play, and he succeeded at that. It's a great game. It's a beast. It's a beast to pull out, but it's very simple. It looks overwhelming at first. Once you start playing it, it's easy. I got rid of Big City the moment I backed this on Kickstarter because I knew this takes Big City. Big City had a lot of flaws in it that I found over time, and this one took away all those flaws and is really a flawless game. It's a flawless game. Now, that being said, this is hard to recommend because it's uber expensive. It's uber expensive. Is the game worth that much? I don't know. That has to be up to you. I mean, you're going to get your money's worth. You're definitely getting your money's worth. I mean, everything fits in the box. Everything's super slick. Everything looks beautiful here. There's even a nicer edition called Sundrop, but that's not worth getting. But the thing is, though, the game as it is super fun, surprisingly simple, but with a lot of strategy. But you're just going to have to pay a very pretty penny from it. I am so happy I have it in my collection. This is a great game. But because of its cost, I don't know if I can let's say, hey, go out there and pay hundreds of dollars to get a really good game when you can get the same really good game for, a third that price. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. So it's up to you whether you want to spend that money or not. But I'll be honest, you do feel like you get your money's worth, and it is a solid game. All right, gamers, that's it for now. Until next time, game on.